Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're all doing very well today, and I hope you are ready to play some Abzan Space Rhinos. Can't even get the title out with a straight face, but this is a pretty cool donation league deck. You have to say we are registering the meme lord itself, Siege Rhino, as a full-on 4-of, and it is an Abzan deck in Modern. Where does the term space come from? Well, that is because this donation league is provided to us by a great, tireless tier supporter, the Space Marine. I'm not going to say his full name because this is a family-friendly show, right? But if you read the comment section, or indeed if you are on Discord, you know who I'm talking about. It's the Space Marine. He's a great guy, and he has supported the channel for long enough at high enough a rate to earn this donation league. So, the Space Marine, my friend, thank you so much. I do appreciate your support. Now, that said, I do have to say I disagree with a couple of choices in the list that we're presenting here, but I also think another couple of them are very interesting. We're going off the beaten path by a wide margin here, and there is nothing at all inherently wrong with that. I'll tell you what I think about the list as we go over it, and for context, the Space Marine is a blue-white control player main. That, like, by trade, he's a blue-white control player, and I always think it's really interesting to have an experienced and a skillful player of a different archetype take a crack at our archetype, like see what control players or aggro or combo players think of mid-range when they dip into it. I think that's a very useful exercise for all parties involved, and I think it can help us, recalibrate a little bit in a way where we might be too close to the source to do so effectively, at least some of the time. So I'm all about it, and I'm all for it. The Space Marine, our friend the Space Marine, does not like Stoneforge Mystic. He thinks SFM is clunky, which is true, and a little bit too conditional. You need the stars to align a little bit too much. There's a lot of truth to that. However, I personally think Stoneforge Mystic is the best way to build Abzan. But we're not using her here, and instead we are playing the full 4 copies of Siege Rhino. So, I don't think Siege Rhino is especially playable in Modern anymore, unfortunately. You look at cards like Uro as like a similarly costed value bomb, and there's just no comparison. Uro just continuing to come back over and over and over again. These types of printings, the really value positive resource generating printings of 2019 and indeed into 2020, have kind of outclassed Siege Rhino in my view. But if you don't like Stoneforge Mystic and you do like the Rhino, sure, and I think there are metagames where that could be really good. The other major thing that the Space Marine has done with the list here is he is doubling down, or perhaps more accurately, octupling down on the removal with downside for us. So any mid-range player knows that it really sucks to give your opponent a land-off Assassin's Trophy, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, It is a catch-all, it's an instant. We take our medicine, we pay the price when we register this card. It's gonna really suck some of the time, but the upside is generally worth it of not ever being dead, it can hit anything and everything. Similar story with Path to Exile. Path to Exile, of course, really sucks to ramp the opponent, but a 1-mana instant speed exile, obviously very good. So, historically, BGX decks have sought to find the Aristotelian mean between too many of those effects and too few of those effects. You want to give your opponent as few lands as possible while answering as many of their permanents as possible, as efficiently as possible, but the Space Marine is taking a different approach here, and he's just saying that we're playing 4 of all of our catch-alls, 4 Path to Exile, 4 Assassin's Trophy, and you know what? I think there's actually a lot of merit to at least trying that, to at least seeing what comes of that. Obviously, it's going to be really weird if we don't get punished for that at some point in this league, but I do think there is some interesting merit to it. So, both of these things are fine on paper, but then where we start getting a little bit further off the beaten path is where I start to disagree with the deck building a little bit, and I love you, Space Marine, but I just got to give you my thoughts, and hey, I hope I'm wrong. I truly do hope I'm wrong, but if you want to test Rhino over Abzan, my view is fine, Don't reinvent the rest of the wheel. Take your Stoneforge package out, put 4 Rhinos in, put like a missing other card or 2 in that makes up for the gap as best as you can. and go to town. Similar with the Path to Exile and Trophy. You want to try to kind of reinvent the removal suite to all paths and trophies. No Pulse, no Decay, no Fatal Push is a huge miss here in my view. Fine, totally cool, but put the proven shell of threats around it and then see how the removal performs. You know what I mean? So to that end, I am a little bit worried that we don't have Fatal Pushes. Instead, we've got 3 copies of Kaya's Guile. And don't get me wrong, hey, if I play like nothing but grindy matchups like I have been lately for this league, we're probably going to be happy that we've got a lot of these potential 2-for-1s or even 4-for-1s if the game goes really long with Kaya's Guile. It's an interesting card, but I really think if we want to play this card, it should probably be a 1-of with 2 Fatal Pushes in here. I'm just afraid of getting run over by Monastery Swiftspear decks or by Monodork decks, of which there are many, many right now, like killing a bird, killing an Arbor Elf on turn 1, very important. You've got like the combo decks, the creature-based combo. There's just still a ton of incentives to play Fatal Push, in my view, but we'll see how it goes. One other deviation from the norm in the main deck that I actually really like that Space Marine did is only 3 copies of Liliana of the Veil and playing 2 copies of Last Hope. So in most lists that I build right now, it's always for Liliana and it's usually no Last Hope in the main or in the side. Last Hope is not usually making my 75s, but in the context of this list, with a big heavy top end of 2 Tracker, 2 Questing Beast, and a full 4 Siege Rhino, Liliana of the Veil gets a little bit worse, because ticking up on average is going to be a little bit worse, because we haven't emptied our hand yet, whereas Liliana the Last Hope, of course, buying back these big bombs from the graveyard becomes more appealing than it would if we had a smaller creature size on average, you know what I mean? And also, there's no replacing the turn 1 action of Fatal Push, but Last Hope can at least machine gun the weenies down a little bit, so if the opponent has a slow start, maybe we can recover for the missing Fatal Push by playing a Last Hope on curve and ticking her up. You never know. It could happen. So I do actually really like that decision in the context of the rest of the decision. So I'm kind of equal parts like skeptical and excited and pumped to play. It should be really cool. So thanks again, Space Marine. I appreciate you, my friend, and we'll see how your take on Abzan Rhinos goes. And the sideboard is just something that I had a hand in. I, took a lot of cues from what he said, but I was making suggestions, and he said, look, I just kind of want you to play my main deck, and you can tweak the mana base or the sideboard as you see fit. So I took my cues from him, and we ended up with a really streamlined mana base. I cut the Kalidases. I think he had 2 Kalidases in there. I just do not think we can afford more 4-drops in this list, personally. But 3 Fulminator, 3 Ashiok, 3 Brutality, 3 Plagueman, 2 Choke and a Nile Spellbomb, pretty streamlined stuff, full of staples, and I have opted to not include any of the value kind of bombs on the side. I don't think Abzan especially needs them, and I don't think this build in particular can afford them. I think we want to be more hateful than that. So that is our list, and let's jump right into a league here, my friends. I do hope we have some success here. I don't know how to expect. I don't know, if we're just going to get kind of our Siege Rhinos outclassed by opposing bombs, or maybe we're in the right matchups for them and they line up really well. I don't know, but a lot of people I know are going to be psyched to see the Rhino take the field in any way, shape, and form, and we're doing it here, so we have the Space Marine to thank for that. Thanks again, my friend. Thank you, as always, to all Patreon supporters, including Bill Campbell. Bill is a brand new confidant. Welcome to the fold, Bill. Thank you very much for your support as well. And we got our opponent possibly lined up here in round 1. Let's do it. Spoke too soon. I don't think they're going to click the join match button. Sad times. We wait for a little while longer. Anything else I didn't really say about the list? The mana base is pretty similar to what you've seen me play recently on Abzan. I think instead of the potentially awkward double Temple Garden, the only difference is we have a double Overgrown Tomb, because we don't have as much need for white early in this deck as you do if you need to cast Stoneforge Mystic on turn 2 consistently. Otherwise, I really like having the utility lands and the pain lands in white when we're on Abzan, because you want the green lands to be painless to activate and to enter untapped as often as possible to make Scavenging Ooze better. So, and because the white utility lands, like Clearing is just as good as Peatland in its role, and Shambling Vent is a really good utility land, I think Abzan allows us to do that quite well. Here we are. We found our opponent. We got a one-lander and a super high curve hand. Gotta throw it back. Not a good start, but here we go. We mulligan to a beautiful 6. Gotta get our game log and chat back. Opponent will keep 7. We're definitely keeping. I think I'm going to bottom the Shambling Vent just to guarantee the 1, 2, 3 curve out here. I also think I'm going to get Basic Swamp off of Marsh Flats. Okay. I guess this is Niv to Light. Seems like a really bad matchup to kick things off. They've got Wrenn and 6, Astrolabe, Trophy, Bring to Light, 3 lands. Kind of just want to take the Wrenn and 6. It's going to grow the Goyf a lot. And then hopefully Liliana's going to take care of the rest. We don't want the Wrenn and 6 unwinding the damage we do with our own Liliana. I think that's the big incentive here. So opponent's showing us Assassin's Trophy. I guess that means we're supposed to fetch and shock. Opponent plays a Temple Garden tapped. Interesting. Interesting decision what to pitch here. Honestly, kind of considering pitching the path, I think ramping them is a bit of a disaster. And making the 4th land drop is pretty good in our shell. So I probably could have done this main phase, but... Okay, opponent pitching a Supreme Verdict. But I wasn't sure if they... I don't know how likely a deck like this is to play Fatal Push. I understand that it's not a perfect fit in the deck, because of course they want as many multicolored spells as possible and as wide a variety as possible. However, okay, opponent is going to draw step our trophy. Or, excuse me, draw step trophy our Liliana, sure. However, you know, for the same reason as I want Fatal Push in this deck, you could see them playing some number of it so as not to get run over. Anyway, our Liliana gets trophied. That is no fun. That is no fun indeed. I think I'm going to kick things off by cracking this Clearing. Last Hope, not the greatest draw right now. Found another Tarmogoyf. See, since they pitched their Verdict, I think that is our play. Gotta get him dead. Gotta get him dead. Interesting. Was hoping for a QB off the top and lethal. So, very interesting spot here. So if they have the 5th land in hand, they can bring to light for a Supreme Verdict. I guess either way, we're probably supposed to play Liliana the Last Hope, because if we're pricing them into the like Liliana the Veil ticking up, they have too many cards in hand for us to really screw them that way. And also, maybe they think they can, like, stabilize with a Niv or something. So I think Last Hope is gotta be the play here. I don't think we can afford the blind mill, because if they do verdict us, we're going to want to just buy back a Goyf. They will end step Helix the Lily the Last Hope. That is not what I expected to see, but I guess that means they are just going to verdict. And we'll be unable to buy back. But following up with a Liliana, pretty good. Also puts them up out of QB range. Unless they have Defection Shock here. No, Pillar of the Perunes. Got it. It's a cool land, isn't it? It's kind of an annoying deck to play against when you're on mid-range, but at least you see this cool land. All right, OP, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? I could see Niv to Light being an interesting deck to just, like, have in your rotation if you're somebody who wants to have, like, maybe 3 decks in any given format at any given time. Kaya's Guile. Okay. Interesting. Not what I expected. You know, because you always get to tweak the deck, you always get to play all kinds of relatively spicy cards that wouldn't necessarily be ideal under all circumstances, but make a lot of sense in your particular build, you know what I mean? I'm saying you know what I mean a lot. Since when do I do that? Since when do I do that? Alright. We've drawn Scavenging Ooze. I think I'm supposed to play the Skoos because I kind of want to save the Liliana to Edict a Niv. I don't know that for sure, though, but, like, Liliana taking up, getting 1 card out of their hand, if they have another Bring to Light or another Niv, they just pitch whatever the other thing is. And we have to lose our Skoos. So it's not the greatest draw, but it could contribute here. Looks like the namesake card himself. Maybe, maybe not. Yes. Aha. Okay, so they get a Glittering Wish, Fairy, Renin 6, Uro. And not the Bring to Light. Good to know about these cards, indeed. I don't know if eating their graveyard matters at all, but I guess if it does, Lightning Helix is a fine card to eat. But really, we're just going to Edict and hope they don't have a... Now, they have a Pillar untapped. So they cannot really have anything here. See you later, Niv, and we steal game 1 against what I have to imagine is a miserable matchup. So, not the deck we want to face, but we did sneak over the line here in game 1. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick gander looking for a recent list. Not exactly, sure exactly what to expect out of the side, but you do have to imagine that there will be a few commonalities across lists, despite the obvious extreme custom ability of a deck like this. While I'm doing that, I mean, sideboarding's really interesting here too. I could see any of these cards playing a role. Choke punishing their greedy mana. Notice how they need to hit that 5th mana to do almost anything that's consistently overpowered, right? Sometimes some of their stuff will line up, sometimes it won't in the earlier turns, but once they get to 5, it's often all over but the crying. So, Choke, Fulminator, Mage, and Ashiok all mess with their mana in different ways. Ashiok also shuts off Bring to Light. And I'm seeing 3 copies of Bring to Light. Collective Brutality as well. Nile Spellbomb could play a role against Renin 6 and Uro. But clearly we cannot bring all these cards in, so let's take some kind of selection from here. I think I'm probably cutting at least one Last Hope. I also think I'm probably cutting all Path to Exiles until I see a reason to keep them in. Yes, they answer Niv, but when Niv resolves, it's probably just about always game over. I think Brutality might be just about our most... Come on. Just about our most obvious card to bring in. These Kaya's Guiles seem kind of bad. I think I'm going to cut all Kaya's Guile. I think trophies are reasonable for their planeswalkers and their lands, so what do we want to go all in on for our hate? I think I'm going to try 2 Choke, 2 Ashiok on the draw. And Fulminator being worse on the draw, we can always opt back into him on the play. And there might be a wide variety of things that we want to change on the play, both because that incentive changes based on who's going to be on the play, but perhaps more importantly, based on what we've seen. Opponent keeping 7. We've got an Inquisition. Inquisition's pretty good. The rest of the hand's pretty mediocre, but I think it's probably a keep. Really nice to have this 3rd land guaranteed, but let's assume we're going to draw it in our 24 land deck, and then we're going to give it a keep, and opponent could lead... Ooh, they're shocking in, but passing? Is that a Veil of Summer? Are they representing Veil, or are they bluffing Veil? I mean, you'd hate to just run a discard spell into a Veil against a deck like this. I'm sure they play a lot of them. I think because we drew another Inquisition and because we don't have a 2-drop in hand, I think I'm actually just going to say go here to play around Veil. And they might have a 2-drop that they want to tap out for next turn like Renin 6. And in that case, we're going to hit him with a double Inquisition. If these were Thought Seizes, it might be more interesting to risk that, because the payoff would be higher. Unfortunately, there's no 2-drop, they just tap out. Or, excuse me, they just play a Blood Crypt tapped. Another Liliana. Well, we haven't hit our land, and we're drawing redundant copies of everything, so now we have kind of no choice but to run this out into what looks like a Veil of Summer. Yep. And the stupidest thing about Veil of Summer is, if it's not stupid enough, is you cannot even just, like, take your lumps here and be like, well, you 2-for-1'd me with a 1-mana Cryptic command, but at least I can still now cast another one, because they're still hexproof from blue and from black. So, absolute garbage card. Hate to see it. Like, it's the last thing we need in a matchup like this. Okay, I don't think I'm fetching here because I really want to draw my 3rd land. Come on, 3rd land. Oh my god. We whiff again. We whiff again. Well, a lot of things going against us. Yeah, sure. A lot of things just going against us. We're just simply not going to get there here unless they totally brick. And we're probably not even going to get that much more intel on their deck, because we're just kind of failing to draw our 3rd land and getting Veil of Summered. It's not anything that we're not used to, you know? The land screw does happen, and getting Veiled does happen. For the 4th draw step straight, we miss land number 3. Okay, then. Well, smack you with a Goyf. And now at this point, we have to cast Collective Brutality over Inquisition in the hopes of nabbing a Bring to Light. But of course, probably have another Veil based on their sequencing. No. Okay, they let it resolve, so they have not played this Wrenn and 6, but I guess that kind of makes sense with no fetch land. So we can take away the Bring to Light. I guess we're probably supposed to. Even though they don't have the 5th land yet, we're just going to lose if they get a Niv, so okay. Shocking. I did not expect that to resolve, or if it did resolve, to matter. And now they can go double Helix here, which was an interesting incentive to take one of them, but all right, 3rd land. Yes, we did it. Okay. Liliana time, eh? And an Astrolabe stuck in hand, so I kind of, like, normally would want to pitch my Inquisition here, but there's actually going to be a target for it next turn, probably no matter what. So I think I might pitch my Ashiok here. I don't think Ashiok is accomplishing all that much at the moment. Or we could pitch... You know what? I'm still going to pitch my Inquisition, even though it can probably hit next turn. Because Ashiok is going to shut off a lot of their good draws, and if they decline to trophy the Liliana here, it'll be a good play next turn. And if they do, as they do, I guess we can get second white here. We want our backup Liliana, I think, because we need to exploit the fail rate of their hand just continuing to be non-functional. They're casting the Wrenn. Just taking up with no fetch land, and we have a couple Rhinos in hand. So do we go on the Rhino plan, or do we go on the Liliana plan? I think I'm going to play my other Liliana here. We're delaying the clock. Pitching a Rhino. You could make a case for pitching any card in that hand, though. So at some point, interestingly, if they continue to be non-functional, the Wrenn can start pinging our Lily to keep her off of alts. They found Teferi, who just turns into kind of a clunky cantrip here, with nothing to bounce back. They've still missed a land drop, wow. And we've drawn a choke, which actually does exactly nothing against them, so that's a pretty free pitch. Might have to revisit the prospect of that card on the draw. We get a Bring to Light out of the hand. Okay. Now do we play Tracker, Rhino, or Ashiok? It's really an interesting call yet again. I think I'm going to go for the Ashiok because, well, no, they can't even... They can cast an Uro. They can cast an Uro. Guess Ashiok can come down after it. We should probably play a threat, right? But yeah, I wanted to play the Ashiok in case they literally drew Prismatic Vista. Pretty unreal. If this punishes us, do they have like a Niv in hand or something? Obviously that would suck. Or, ooh, maybe just an Astrolabe. Another Astrolabe rotting in hand? No, looks like the big guy. Dang, that's why I wanted to play Ashiok. I just felt we'd put off a creature for too long now. Now we're hoping they brick off of this. They just get a Kaya's Guile. That qualifies as a brick. But they do get to buy back a land. They do get to start doing some good things, but yeah, we got pretty lucky there. So, Edict the Niv. It's got to be Tracker into Clue here. So, I don't think erasing the opponent is especially realistic, because they have the life gain in hand. Just attack Teferi here. Yeah, so if we had taken a turn off of the clock to play Ashiok, looks like it probably would have paid off. Really hard to say, though. We did get punished by the exact card I was worried about for that decision. And even playing Ashiok this turn to shut off the 6th land for the fully escalated Kaya's Guile is interesting, but again, you can't really pass up Tracker into Clue on at that stage, right? It's turning into a pretty interesting game. We've drawn Trophy. All right. And a Swamp, so let's begin by making a Clue. Next up, we're going to try to attack Wrenn off the field, but I'm sure Kaya's Guile is coming, making a chump blocker and forcing us to sacrifice. So I think what we're supposed to do here is sack the Rhino, keep the Tracker around, and then just trophy the Wrenn. I'm going to mill myself here with Ashiok, then exile the opponent's yard, and then we'll trophy the Wren. And then we'll get an asymmetrical tick up with Lily. So, a pretty good turn, all things considered. And we'll see if the tracker can, and the planeswalkers can get us over the line here. Supreme Verdict. Okay. Tracker not getting us over the line. Opponent out of ideas, though. So are we. Let's crack a clue. Shambling Vent, not the most exciting. We'll keep marching the Liliana up, losing our Blooming Marsh. I think we're supposed to leave Ashiok at 4 because they do play Lightning Helix. But going for the Millwind condition could become reasonable at some point. But right now it's shutting off 2 fetch lands now because I top-decked another one. Nice. Unfortunately, we are breaking about as hard. Not literally quite as hard, but just about as hard. So we have a Liliana who could ult next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 functional lands right now at the opponent's disposal. But they top deck something. What's it going to be? Is it Uro? I hope not. Oh, it's the 4th Niv. They have 2 Nivs on the bottom of their deck. Yeah, that's terrible for us. So they get Verdict, Bring to Light, and Wrenn and 6. Maybe they shuffled those other Nivs back in. Then they try to fetch into the Ashiok. People do that all the time, man. People do that all the time. So they cannot cast the Wrenn, which I guess they were trying to do. We draw Trophy. Nice. Okay. So I guess we're going to trophy the Niv, see if they have a basic land to get, and then decide what to do with the Lily. They do. Alright, so if we Edict with the Liliana, it's really not that good, because they can play the Wrenn and 6, they can buy back a land, which admittedly will be shut off by the Liliana. Or, excuse me, I can't talk. Will be shut off by the Ashiok. But maybe we have to. Maybe we have to, because otherwise they're just going to bring to light for another Niv Mizzet, so I guess we kind of have to hope that they don't draw a usable land here. And we have to split 4 lands from 4 lands, in terms of the ones that are live. Alright. Seems kind of bad to lose our Liliana this way. I guess we should try to separate colors as much as possible. So we'll give them like green and white over here. Red, blue, and black over there. Those seem sufficiently awkward. This one cannot cast Verdict or Bring to Light over here. This one can cast both. But it cannot cast Wrenn and 6. Yes, it can. It can with Pillar. Trying to give them something that does not cast Bring to Light. Okay, so the top pile doesn't cast Bring to Light. And the bottom one doesn't cast Wrenn and 6. So I think that's kind of the best we can do. Or it's the best I'm doing here. I'm behind on the clock, so I'm just going to say okay. Very far behind on the clock, actually, and it could, if we lose this game, it could definitely matter. So while you could probably make a better pile, I don't have time to make a better pile. But you understand what I'm trying to accomplish here. We got to split 4 lands from 4 lands, so they don't have the 5th land for Bring to Light. We also have to split the colors as awkwardly as possible, given what we know about their hand, and also just generically trying to make their colors as bad as possible. This is a real, this is a pretty skill-testing one right out of the gates here, you have to say. Still not going to activate Ashiok quite yet. Until we have to. Okay, opponent playing that Wrenn. If Wrenn starts pinging Ashiok, it'll be an interesting decision because, of course, that gives you even less incentives to activate. Instead, they buy... Oh, I'm stupid. I forgot they're just going to be able to buy back with the run pile. So maybe we should have made the run pile a little worse, but either way... I think just splitting 4 and 4 is probably correct anyway. We draw Silent Clearing. Let's find some action. Ugh, the Flood. The Flood! Okay, so now I'm going to mill them, even though it turns on, like, Niv, or Bring to Light, finding a Niv, finding a Lightning Helix, and getting rid of the Ashiok sooner. We're now kind of going to try to cheese out a mill win condition, or just get generically lucky with the mills, because we did just kind of fail to stop them from finally assembling their... Oh, they Bring to Light into the Ashiok. Okay. I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen. Okay, Ashiok just putting in all kinds of work here. Wow. Oh, but if only we could capitalize. If only we could capitalize, right? We're just bricking so hard it is insane. And we do have a Temple Garden to fetch, so I'm going to run this out to thin. I'm going to keep milling the OP. What a ridiculous game, guys. If we lose, I'm going to be in trouble on the clock. They got a trophy for Ashiok. Okay. Feels bad, man. Now they can fetch. They still got a Verdict in hand, plus 2 unknowns. And the Uro. Yep. Okay, not looking good for us anymore. Thoughtseize, sure. A little late for that. Helix Verdict. I don't know. Helix. It's going to lose to Uro, though. Oh, they have Clothis too. Yikes. Silent clearing. Come on, deck. Assassin's Trophy. Not good. Not good enough to beat what they're doing, almost certainly. I think it's still technically close enough that we could justify playing it out. Liliana the Last Hope, okay. Mill ourselves returning probably Tracker. They have a Kaya's Guile they're going to respond with. That could be what this is. One of the reasons I'm playing it out is because I am making up some time on the clock in the last few turns, but it's possible I'm still so far behind. And the clocks in general are both so low that I shouldn't be. Opponent tanking here, or otherwise having an issue. Well, the theme of the channel lately continues, which is that we just play these mega grindy matchups like day in, day out, every time we go to a league. It's bizarre. Like, I know the format's grindy, but I see other people play, or I hear about other people play, and they're like, yeah, you know, I faced Prowess and Infect and Ad Nauseam, and then they face like a big mana deck and a grindy deck. Whereas with me, it's like, you know, minimum 4 out of 5 of the matchups of like every league I've played lately have been this. They've been going down to the wire, taking up most of the clock. Lots of grindy decks, lots of like non-traditional mid-range decks, which I guess you could classify this one as. Among other things, you could fall into that category, or like some of the Urza variants. Gruul, of course, is a big one right now. Okay, opponent did disconnect. Well, that'll happen, I guess. I don't know if they're going to come back or not, but I guess I'll keep talking as though they will. Yeah, and then a lot of the control decks. Obviously, Bant is huge right now. And then big mana. That's just kind of my lot lately. It's my lot in life lately. You guys can feel free to let me know, of course, if you have any clearer idea how to sideboard against Niv Mizzet than what I did here. I think it's reasonable enough to consider, and reasonable enough to not be fully sure without having seen exactly what they're on. But our sideboarding here... Okay, they're back. They're back. I guess we want Tracker for the clue. I think I'm going to play and then immediately crack this clue looking for a Thoughtseize to take away the verdict, perhaps. Opponent tanking again. Are they having another connectivity issue? I mean, this is kind of bad for content if this is just kind of how the round is going to end, so I do apologize for that, but nothing I can do about it, right? Funny thing is, after all this connectivity, I am still the one who's behind on the clock. And I am the one who's been playing more slowly overall. We've had a lot of interesting decisions, though, for sure. And, of course, commentating does not help. But yeah, opponent... It says they rejoined the game, but clearly they're having some issues. Well, we certainly got to play it out to the bitter end now. Always feels bad, though. Yeah, always a feel-bad moment for our friendly opponents. There we go. Alright, looking for Thoughtseize. Nope. And we have no more fetchables in the deck. And opponent's got a lot of actions to take with the Klothys, with the Uro. So we're making up the clock here. And if they do have to Verdict, you know, QB coming down after the fact is actually pretty good for us. Surely opponent will not let Tracker live. Even if Verdict is the only way to take care of her, they will. Don't know if this Polluted Delta is in their hand any longer. It's been too long. It's too much has gone on since then. And then they're trophying Liliana. Sure. Sure. Man, could we just brick even just a little bit less? We have bricked to a ridiculous degree. All right. Well, QB plus Shambling Ven is some good pressure. We've got the Uro, obviously, to contend with, but we do have a trophy in hand for that. But Uro plus Klothys has got a lot going on. Can't believe how many extraneous fetch lands we've drawn. It's pretty crazy. Pretty bad stuff. Alright, the Delta doesn't matter. I'm just gonna dismiss it. Even if they have it, doesn't really matter. Do they have an Uro from hand? No, they are going from the graveyard. They're down to 15 cards in the library. Unfortunately, we have already seen both of our Ashioks. No cheeky mill win count for us. Come on, action. Tarmogoyf, kind of action. Let's try with a trophy. Of course, they have Veil of freaking Summer. Man, oh man, oh man. How dumb is that? I'm going to try to trade QB. They don't. I'm just sixing. There could be a world in which we need to fire up Shambling Vent. So maybe I shouldn't be, but I think the clock is what's relevant at this stage, right? Going for the double block here. Could have fired up Shambling Vent and had potentially a better double block, or even just gone for the triple block. But again, I'm just playing for the clock. I'm just doing enough to stay in the game so the opponent has to take actual action while planning to win the game on the clock. I have another Uro from hand. Yeah, that's very bad for us. This is why this is a horrific matchup. But Pong just doing more and more stuff. Sure, Niv Mizzet. Yep, it's another very bad thing for us. And we just brick. Okay. It's on you, OP. It's on you. Running 6, okay. The ping, sure. We've drawn another Tarmogoyf. Alrighty then. What is opponent casting here? Is it a Kaya's Guile? It sure is. I guess we're supposed to sack Goyf to extend the game. Maybe we don't extend the game that way, actually, in the face of that spirit token attacking. And Clothis and the ping and everything else, but you understand the principle there. And the bricking continues. The bricking will continue until morale approves. Alright, GG. Well, we lose, but we're going to win on the clock as long as we can click faster than the opponent, or as fast. Because we won game 1. So, I don't think a Niv Mizzet deck can kill us in 3 minutes. We'll have to play a little bit, so they don't. Do we want the third Ashiok? Seemed pretty good there, but I could see 3 being too many. It does, like a lot of their stuff does ignore it. Fulminator does get better on the draw here as well. Or, excuse me, on the play. Fulminator is pretty bad against Veil of Summer, though. I'm going to take out the Last Hope. She's too grindy for our purposes here. And play with only 1 choke. Diversify with a choke and a couple Fulminator. But again, looking for the clock victory here. I've got slow internet, though. Relative to most, and kind of an older computer. So we're probably already in the game, losing seconds right now. Kind of hate to be doing this in general, especially on camera, but let's get there. Hand's pretty good, honestly. Going for it now, even though it'd be a little better against Veil of Summer not to do it now. I think, like, doing it now is fine because it grows the Goyf a lot. But otherwise, we would be just not doing it, and of course they have this stupid Veil of Summer. I don't feel bad about winning on the clock against that, this Veil of Summer deck. Okay, Uro, yep. I don't know which land is best to hit, to be honest. I went with blue even though we play a choke. Just because it's the least redundant besides black, and I don't know how important black is. All the Uros. All of them. Well, we're going to play an Ashiok. Inquisition seems okay. Kaya's Guile, they have the Niv. All right. We've got the trophy for this guy. So we might just be able to beat them in like a good, honest way, even if we weren't winning the clock. Obviously, if they have a huge hit here, though. Yeah, they just got 4 cards off of that, so probably not, actually. Not going to play out another Goyf into that Supreme Verdict, I don't think. So they trophy a Goyf. Play a Ren, sure. They ping Ashiok, sure. Going for the QB. Tagging the Ren feels so good. Okay, Ashiok gets helixed. We get Thought Seized. Opponents at 4. They can Verdict the QB. Oh no. Bring to light. Okay, got it. We draw Liliana, seems good. Whatever. Don't know about the order here. If they have Veil, they have Veil, right? They have a Veil. No. They have a Helix, sure. Taking the Euro, even though the trophy keeps them alive as well, it's just that much harder for them to ever kill us, right? Opponent really just going all in here at the end. I guess we're going to keep playing. Inquisition. They will helix us in response. Okay. Verdict, snow-covered mountain. Dang, they're going to verdict this Goyf. If only we had some other win condition, some other way to win the game without actually winning the game. They're going for the Euro. Okay. GG's opponent, well played. Sorry about your connectivity issues. Yeah, we might have been a dog in the matchup without them. Not gonna lie. Opponent trying to get the verdict off before time doesn't quite happen. Well, guys, every time I play, I think it can't possibly get any grindier than that. Like, every time I play a new league, I'm like, well, that was insane. I'm exhausted. That was a really long league. But there's, like, that's the peak. For, like, the last 5 leagues in a row, I've said that's the peak. It's going to be more linear matchups from here, quicker matchups from here. But it just keeps going. And that was insane. That was an insane round one. That was worth the price of admission alone, I would say. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We do come away with a win in a really tough matchup. And we have to mulligan another totally non-functional hand. We're not having good luck with the openers, I have to say. But this one's not very good either, but I like it better than going to 5. We'll bottom a Rhino and just hope, like, our 2 drops backed up by Liliana, the last hope can get us there, but it seems kind of unlikely, all right? Inquisition, though. Inquisition's a good draw. Let's see which Windswept Heath deck you are. Ah, Magus of the Moon, Lightning Bolt. Obviously taking Magus there. It's a Gruul deck that kept no acceleration. Kind of a bad Gruul hand, but one that can still quite easily just beat us. It's just another bad matchup. Just another bad matchup. Hey, we draw Swamp. It's a good draw. These Glory Bringers are going to be a big problem, but the opponent has to draw the lands for them, and maybe we can get the Goyf to a 4-5 before then. It's no guarantee, but if they use the Lightning Bolt and they also don't have any way to interact with the graveyard, then that'll be the case. Speak of the devil, Klothys, the last thing I wanted to see. For real, the last thing I wanted to see. But we can make it kind of bad with the Skoos for at least a turn. I guess we're kind of supposed to do that. Unless they want to bolt the Skoos in the upkeep. That would be the way to play around this. I still think it's probably the right call here, though. Yeah, I don't know. I think they should have bolted our Skoos before this trigger went on the stack. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still sucks. We're priced into eating our own Inquisition with a Scavenging Ooze in this matchup. But yeah, Klothys is just, I mean, you guys saw the recent Jund League, right? Klothys is just the card that beats us. Really tilting. Now point the bolt at the Goyf. Because it's a 2-3. You know you want to. You know you want to. Come on, Gruul player. Look how small that Goyf is. I think it'll die to the Lightning Bolt. Are they thinking about it? Are they, like, double-checking the rules on this? Either way, this matchup is a disaster. I don't know why we have to play only decks like this lately. Yeah, they do the right thing and they bolt the Skoos. But again, I think they could have done that earlier. But hey, no other land drop, so hope springs eternal. I kind of want to play this tracker. This is really tough, actually. We have 3 options here. We can play another Goyf. Or we can play the tracker. The former is like the best in a vacuum, but kind of bad against that Klothys. The latter diversifies us against Klothys just taking over the game and making Goyf irrelevant, but is very weak to them having another Lightning Bolt. And also could just be a Balduvian Barbarians unless we draw another land. But Liliana the Last Hope could be really interesting, just like working toward a win condition. Like, just tick her up. She'll go to 4 this turn, 5 next turn, 6 on turn 6, 7. The turn 8 alt, though, like, they should really be casting Glorybringers by then. I don't think that's realistic, unfortunately. It's worth a thought, though, right? So yeah, we're just trying to race the Klothys. Hope their hand continues to be less than ideal. They take away our Windswept Heath. Bloodbraid Elf, okay. And do another Klothys. Hey, a nice punt. Not a punt, but a nice brick. That's what we mean, a nice brick. And they do decide to cast this one, so our Goyf grows off of that. That's cool. Yeah, wisely, opponent staying back. We've drawn Path to Exile, an awkward draw, but our trophy is awkward too. So I guess now it is time to play the Liliana, shrink the Bloodbraid Elf, and just race. Bloodbraid reduced to a mere chump blocker, a 4-mana chump blocker that grew our Goyf. We'll take it. Okay, they're adding mana yet again with Klothys. Doesn't necessarily mean they did or did not draw the land. As I was just going to say, they want the mana even if they did draw a land, and they did. So, Glorybringer time. Feels bad, man. Feels real bad. It's just about perfect. I don't think we were supposed to just play scared of it, though. I think Liliana... Like, if we play scared, we lose to the Klothys, but this is a disgustingly good 2-for-1. 3-for-1, really. Oh, and we keep breaking. And we just keep breaking. But at least we got Goyf and Path, which is actually kind of good, because you know they're going to play another Glorybringer most likely. And that OP Exert ability does come at a cost, so if that's all they have... We still won't have lethal, unless we draw an untapped land for QB. But we'll be in the mix. We'll be in the mix. We would have had lethal if they'd made the mana and played Glorybringer. They play Bloodbraid Elf. Ooh. Seems riskier than Glorybringer. They Bloodbraid into a Pillage. Okay. Hitting our Swamp. Okay. Unfortunately, this is not lethal. Unless we draw a land. And the prospect of turning a land into lethal, I think, means we have to do it anyway. Come on, land off the top. We've bricked on land this whole game. Ugh, another 4-drop. Bro. Okay, OP at 1. This deck is so tilting to face. Oh, man. What happened to all the cool matchups in Modern? I mean, if we had drawn a land at any point, we win. It would have been lethal last turn, and we just would have, like, been way more functional. Ugh, Magus of the Moon. Okay. I guess we're floating. Letting him resolve. What's their other card besides Magus? That's what I'm interested to know. Well, whatever it is, they're just doing it now, instead of like trying to move out of the phase and seeing what happens. They will stomp the tracker. Okay. Just never ends with this stupid deck. It just never ends. I guess we're trophying the Magus here. We just can't function with him around, and like a draw of a Path to Exile here is lethal. Or another trophy. We do have 4 of each in the deck. Come on, give me something. Now we get the 3rd land. That really is just so tilting, guys. This is my life. This is my life with Magic lately. I'm not going to hate on the draw, though, because now if we draw another land untapped next turn, QB and Rhino are both good cards, right? By good cards, I mean they're most likely going to be lethal. Here comes the glory. Oh, okay, Arbor Elf. Yeah. They're still both lethal. Arbor Elf can't block QB, and Rhino just helixes them to death. Oh, they have a QB. They don't play Glorybringer. Again, I say it never ends with this deck. Oh, man. Come on, one time. Show us why Rhino's in the deck with an untapped land off the top. Come on, deck. One time. Rhino kill. Come on. Yeah. You guys are going to love this. I know so many of you are going to love this. Siege Rhino for the win. Take that, Gruul. Take that. You're the mid-range deck to beat of the moment of spring 2020. And we're the mid-range card of 2015 or whenever it was at its prime to beat. Some things are just, they're classics. They're classic. Good times. Okay, so how do we beat Gruul? Well, none of our cards are really good in the sideboard, so we're probably running it back. So I've advocated recently that Abzan should not really be packing generic value cards in the sideboard, but this is literally the one matchup where I wish I had like a 1 or 2 cards like that, like a Gideon, something similar. So with that in mind, do we have anything in the main deck that's bad? No, not really. Had a pretty good main deck. Kaya's Guile, again, Kaya's Guile's pretty weak. Like, if the opponent starts on Arbor Elf and we have Kaya's Guile in hand where it could have been a fatal push, that's, like, a death sentence in this matchup, right? But is anything we're not doing any better? I don't think so. I really don't think we want any of these sideboard cards. You could argue for Plague Engineer on the play. Collective Brutality, does some things. I think I'm going to replace at least 1 Guile with 1 Brutality, and maybe that's literally all I'm doing. I think that's good enough for me on the draw. On the play, where Brutality can kill Arbor Elf before it does damage, maybe we want more of them. It's another Veil of Summer deck, so get ready for that. We really are fighting an uphill battle. And, so far we're doing okay. This is a good on the play hand. On the draw, it's pretty poor, but this is such a value-oriented matchup. I don't think mulling a hand that not only is functional and has a lot of desirable cards, but also has natural resilience against Blood Moon, I don't think we can justify that. I think we just kind of have to see what they have, try to draw an Inquisition off the top. We didn't. All right, I'm going to play Verdant Catacombs, which plays around both Pillage and Magus of the Moon as best as we can. But if they just have Klothys instead, we are just going to lose? Almost certainly. Which one is it? Magus of the Moon. Okay. Go get our forest. Now, do we run something out? Do we run like a Goyf or a Skooz out into what's probably going to be like a Chandra? Or do we hold up Trophy? Like, if they start piling more Utopia Sprawls here, that'd be pretty cool for us. But that's not where we're at. I think we're supposed to play a thing. I'm going to choose Skooz. It does at least offer a trade with Magus, which I'll take if they offer it. The only reason they'd probably do that is if they have another one in hand, but even so, I think that'd be fine for us. Growing the Goyf and all. Okay, Arbor Elf. Is this a pillage? Yeah. Oh my god, what a what a play experience. What a fun time. Okay, we're totally locked out of everything in our hand as of right now. And that was one reason to hold up Trophy, is if if they have the perfect curve out, you gotta kill the Magus to keep functioning, but it's also just a great way to lose. It's so value negative. I don't think we could have played scared of Pillage there. Or should have, rather. We could have, but I don't think we should have. Another Pillage, really? Okay. Klothys. That's enough. That's more than enough for me. We'll see what our draw is, but yeah. Still don't know what these decks do against combo or against a lot of other things, but they sure do beat the crap out of us when they're on the play curving out like that. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to play all of my brutalities because the lists I've seen show 2 Pillage main deck, 2 sideboard. Unless they just got the nuts there, they probably have all 4 Pillages in. So even though brutality is kind of very weak against most of their payoff threats and most of their threats in general, I still think we kind of want all 3. Without pushes, we need all the answers to Arbor Elf we can get. So, gonna cut at least one Kaya's Guile. This card's fine, the Edict is pretty decent. The other stuff's okay. But might still be the weakest card we have left, I think it is. Unless we wanted to cut a Skooz. I think 2 Skooz is okay. We'll play like this. All right. Well, we got him with the Siege Rhino game 1. We got totally dumpstered G2. Let's try to get him here game 3. These decks do have a fail rate. Lately on the channel, they've just been keeping 7 and curving out lately against me, but maybe they will fail starting now. Oh boy, this hand is so medium. It's all reactive cards. I don't think we can keep it. The paths are so bad compared to pushes right now, this early. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna mulligan, but I hate to. I really hate to. They keep 7. Of course, we'll keep bottom a Rhino, and oh boy, I don't know if I like where this is going, guys. I don't know if I like our odds here. But alright. Okay, which one mana accelerant did you keep? Please say Arbor Elf. Please say Arbor Elf. Yes. Cool. Alright. We've drawn another 3-drop. Ooh. Okay, so. A lot of tension with what land to get. Obviously, we could use white in general. Don't want to be locked out of a color on our own. We could also use black for the purposes of guaranteeing any third land to cast our Lilianas, which are probably how we win the game. Or we could use green, which is kind of the best standalone basic land to have in the face of a moon effect. I think I'm getting Swamp, though. We could also just get Godless Shrine, but pathing this early is not going to do anything we want to do, so I'm going to get Swamp. And at the risk of leaving a pillage in their hand, I think I'm just supposed to Brutality without escalating. Like, whiffing would be such a disaster because we already mulled and we already are just desperate to draw land here. Untapped land, please and thank you. Obviously not. We're experiencing a very high fail rate with our own deck, and that's nothing to do with deck building. It's to do with mulligans and just getting either flooded or screwed. Happening at a higher rate than you'd expect. If this is a pillage, man, if this is a pillage, we were just not meant to win this one. Oh my god, it sure is. And they hit our swamp, which means they have a Magus. Oh, we hit the third land after. It probably doesn't matter anymore. I guess we should eat this Arbor Elf before damage. Hey, I won't complain about hitting the land. That's good. That's good. We needed to do that. We're still like 5% to win this game because their value cards just beat ours. Like, they're just better on average. So even though the game goes on because we drew a land, I don't think we're going to get there. Any number of things. Yeah, that's one of them. There's Chandra. There's good old Chandra. Yep. Okay. Not fetching because we needed the highest chance possible to draw a land. We draw Thoughtseize. I guess we keep playing, but I don't want to. Magus Bloodbraid. Cool. I guess we take Bloodbraid. We're going to be priced into pathing the Magus. So we're going to have to fetch, shock, float white with him on the stack, unless they just top deck or +1 into something better. Chandra finds another Bloodbraid Elf. Sure. Oh, man. Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay, we are soundly defeated. I never want to play against that deck again, to be honest. Like, what a disaster it is for us. I beat it. I split the games against it with Jund in the recent league, if you haven't seen that. But truly makes you feel punished for trying to interact in Modern, because a lot of their cards like Clothis just ignore any reasonable form of interaction. They play Veil of Summers and Obstinate Balos to punish traditional forms of black interaction specifically. And of course, Veil also branches well into the blue matchups. Yeah, that's just not my cup of tea, guys. Wow. And we have like our millionth one-lander of the league. Got a mulligan. There's not much I can really do about any of this. Then this is what's happening. We're mulling 1-landers and then we're keeping 2-landers with super high curves. But better than going to 5, so I keep. I bottom one of our Kaya's Guiles. We'll see if Fatal Push here would be good. They're shocking in Breeding Pool. Okay, Inquisition. Well, at the risk of them having main deck Veil Summer, let's Inquisition. It is merely an opt. And it is Storm. So because we don't have a Fatal Push, like if this Guile was a Fatal Push, we wouldn't have to take the Electromancer, but now we kind of do. And I wish we didn't have to, because I actually want to take Pyretic Ritual here. Because they can easily, like 1 Monomorphose or something can let them, still despite their mana issues, have an early-ish Gifts. This is tough. Yeah, we just gotta take the Electroman, though. Gotta take the bear. Hey, this is not a crazy modern matchup, though. You know, like a crazy 2019, 2020 modern matchup. It's a classic pillar of the format with a cool deck. Inquisition, interesting. I think we're supposed to play Goyf. That might be wrong, though. That really might be wrong. Because if they have the 3rd land rolled up, they get to repeal the Goyf. So I'm going to Inquisition, see what they're working with. And if we draw the 3rd land, which we want to, we're not Inquisitioning next turn. Right, okay. So I'm just going to take the Ritual here. Yes, repeal is very annoying, but we're on the Mana Screw plan. Both players getting Mana Screwed and us just beating with the Goyf. Or being the first one to not get Mana Screwed. They draw the 3rd land. Dang. Dang. Alright, once again, not fetching, looking for the max odds, and we hit it. Nice. Okay, so now I think we are supposed to play Liliana the Veil. Start working on the hand while we can. But if they draw another, and also not giving them a repeal target. But if they draw the 4th land, they'll just get to hardcast Gifts, and that'll be bad. But this is our play, this is our line, I like it. Last Hope, very bad here. It's a pretty free pitch. You could get a little cute and say, we'll pitch the Tarmogoyf and buy it back with Last Hope. That's more value positive, but that's just simply not the correct line in a matchup like this. And they have a pretty free pitch here at Past in Flames, so we just gotta fade the 4th land. Or the Ritual. Looks like we might have, but we don't know for sure. Assassin's Trophy is pretty bad here, so that's a pretty free pitch to Lily. We're going to do that, and I actually think the Kaya's Guile might be the better play over Tarmogoyf here. We'll see what they pitch. They pitch a repeal. Okay, so now Goyf becomes more appealing. Nevertheless, Kaya's Guile exiling their graveyard is kind of tasty. It's kind of tasty, and it also lets us potentially double spell next turn if we top deck a Thoughtseize. And it also protects us if they have, like, Mana Bear off the top plus a Ritual, maybe. Even that might not do it, actually. They probably only play 1 repeal, so, like, playing the Goyf is pretty safe from getting repealed. We probably should play a Tarmogoyf. But I think Kaya's Guile is close. I think it's really close. The disaster is if they have Monomorphose in hand, probably, and then they top deck a Mana Bear and they just, like, go off with good top decks plus those things. They have a Ritual. Freaking knew it. I knew it. So here's the gifts. Dang. So now I really wish we were just holding up Kaya's Guile, because then we could Edict a Bear and exile the Yard. But there really is a lot of incentive to just make them have it. Got punished, though. That was a really interesting spot. I'm kind of glad we talked that one through and you got to see that. It was a pretty cool judgment call, and hey, Storm is a pretty cool deck. But even they these days are a green deck. You see this breeding pool? That's for a sideboard Veil of Summer. Wow, they're not even taking bears. I guess that's because we're bluffing Fatal Push. That makes sense. So, Ritual and lands, I guess we bin a Ritual, right? Trying to think if it matters what land we give them. Kinda doubt it. But I'll bin the shock land just in case it does. And they... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't track the hand correctly. Got it. Tarmogoyf. At this point, I think we're supposed to play the Kaya's Guile over that Goyf. And I also think we have to keep taking the Liliana up. An opponent certainly won't be playing around Kaya's Guile, but what they are clearly playing around is spot removal. Okay, let's see what their gifts pile's looking like this time. Let's look at Past in Flames here. Okay, so we have no pressing need to resolve Kaya's Guile. Like, we can... It'll be good at most different windows, you know what I mean? Like, the onus is definitely on them to take action. Playing Drago is fine with us. We've got a Liliana about to alt, and of course, Goyf clocking them quite respectably here. Okay, Past in Flames, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, Monomorphos. I think we're just binning both rituals again. And the Spirit token, if we are able to make it, will actually increase our clock. Okay, opponent kicking off with that Monomorphos. After we resolve Guile, instant, another Gifts? Wow. Sure. This is quite another interesting game, guys. They're not making it easy on me lately at all. Like, every league has been a major struggle with very little straightforward gameplay. I'm sure you guys like it out there at home. Do we just bin rituals for the millionth time? Probably, right? Spire Bluff Canal is going to come in untapped, though, because we're going to ult with the Lily. I don't know, it's really hard to say without knowing what's in their hand. It's got to be correct to bin the rituals when we're about to Lily ult, right? Oh, of course, or they just play it now as their land for turn. Yeah. Okay. QB. Not the greatest. I'm going to give them the breeding pool and the 2 basics, because I don't think green matters pre-side. Alright, let's see what the opponent can put together here, and if our Kaya's Guile can mess him up. Yep, Electromancer. Okay. Here it is, with the Monomorphos on the stack. Each opponent sacrifices a creature, exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard. So we were not able to make the Spirit token. So, honestly, they have another Electromancer. Alright, we need an untapped land for QB to force a chump block here. Or we need removal. Or are they just scooping? This looks like scoop leg. Maybe they just were out of gas in hand. And maybe that fetch land is dead in multiple ways. Alright, we got there, guys. That was intense. That was intense. Opponent's name is Storm Guy is me, so they are clearly a Storm aficionado of sorts. Now, against Storm, Path to Exile and Assassin's Trophy are both awful. So it's a minor miracle that we won with a main deck like this. You know, despite a lot, we just kind of drew the right half of the deck is what I'm trying to say. That said, some number of Assassin's Trophy might be necessary to deal with Aria of Flame. But this is where, like, the lack of Maelstrom, Pulse, and Abrupt Decay, but especially Pulse, really, really hurts, because Pulse can answer Aria cleanly, and, of course, answer the Empty the Warrens tokens. But we don't have one. So, Ashiok's very good, Spellbomb very good. I don't know if I'm supposed to play Choke with this configuration. Plague Engineer and Brutality, of course, pretty good too. So we've got a lot to do. Got a whole lot to do. Kaya's Guile's okay. It was really good there. And we've got a lot of bad cards. So let's begin by cutting these bad ones. And bringing in at least 2 Ashiok. The Spellbomb. Probably all 3 of each of those. Plague Man and Brutality. We could call into question these other trophies. The only thing they're good for is beating Aria Flame. Three Kaya's Guile's pretty clunky. I think I should at least be shaving 1. Ashiok in. We're bringing in 3 creatures, so even though they're kind of a weak clock, I'm going to cut a Siege Rhino from the top end. We'll play 2 copies of Trophy. Gotta respect Aria Flame. We have the other bases covered so well. And I'm not playing Choke, we're on the draw. Maybe on the play, depending on what we see. Of course, we can always rejig, but Choke will be better on the play regardless. OP keeping 7. Our hand is pretty poor, but it has a Brutality. I think that's probably enough to keep. It kills Electromancer and checks the hand. And we have like a functional top end. Okay, I'm going to play a Godless Shrine tapped. A little worried about Blood Moon with those fetches. Don't be Baral. Oh, it's a ritual? Into Arya. Yeah. Yeah. Brutal. Completely brutal. Ritual Arya. Well, it's either Inquisition or Brutality, and I guess it's probably more responsible to Inquisition, even though it's less mana efficient. I really wish we had this last turn. So they have Lightning Bolt, Sleight of Hand, they have a Factor Fiction. Taking the Sleight of Hand. We're almost certainly going to lose to this Arya Flame unless we draw a trophy right away, and if we do, we then turn on their Factor Fiction. Especially if they just top deck a cantrip, that's exactly what you want to do when you've got a kind of a do-nothing hand with an Arya down. Not good, not good. Plague Engineer. It's the wrong answer. It is the wrong answer, my friends. So we have to continue delaying our clock because we need to Brutality their hand. And I'm not going to escalate. We're just going to cast it as a clunky discard spell. They have a Veil of Summer that's uncastable. All right, I'm just going to take Factor Fiction here. And they've got some clunk going on. We do, in theory, have enough big bodies to race an Arya. But again, for the second turn in a row, when they have a hand not really going anywhere, they just top deck a cantrip. Alright, I am no longer respecting Blood Moon at this point, so let's get our second green. Can't really afford to respect it anyway, because we need double green for QB. Who is going to be the play here, I suppose. Ooh, we draw Assassin's Trophy. Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, yeah, we gotta try to answer that Arya. Let's run out of Goyf and then move to their upkeep and trophy the Arya before they have a green mana for that Veil of Summer. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Cool. So we're in business. And now having the Plague Man around is great in case they put together... They just have another Arya! Ah! At least it's gaining us life and buying us more time. Their hand is just Lightning Bolt, Veil of Summer. So, play the QB and get to racing. It is actually fairly realistic to win this race now. We'll see if we do. They get the right top deck and everything changes, but... Another cantrip! Stop it! Stop it, stop it. You can't keep having them. But to be fair, they haven't, chained them yet, so I guess one per turn is beatable. Alright, well, let's try to put them to 1 and then kill them with another Siege Rhino ETB. Oh, man. Are we gonna? Unless they have permission, I guess we're gonna. Green, black, white, generic. Can you handle the Rhino? Can you handle the main man? Uh-oh, they can. Maybe. Monomorphose in response, sure. floating green and red for the cards in their hand. We've cast a black spell so they can just cantrip with Veil, which I guess is what they'll do, yep. Okay. Siege Rhino does not target. Each opponent loses 3. Oh, they have a Remand? Dude, Remand, really? They found permission. That is insane. That's really insane. Odds of that are really low. Anyway. Hopefully they cannot untap and kill us. They just saw a bunch of more cards because Veil of Summer is OP. And then they bolt us, so they are just looking for the kill here, and they could easily get it. Serum Visions, Well, 2 more spells of any kind and we are dead. Remand. Can't believe they found a Remand. Monomorphose. Okay, we die. Cool. That's... Guys, literally, this is every league for me lately. This is every league for me lately. Doesn't mean we're not having fun. It doesn't mean we're not going to get there in this match. Doesn't mean the gameplay is not good. Like, this is entertaining gameplay, but, like, at no point, anytime in the last month, it seems to me anyway, maybe it's just been like a long few weeks, have we caught like a major break in these regards. They have a very, very small percentage to draw permission there. The Remand might literally be the only permission in their deck, like a 1 of Remand. And I'm not kidding, literally might be the only card that they could have drawn. Anyway, oh man. I'm like annoyed enough to want to try to choke them out on the play, which might be correct anyway, but you know, I think it is actually correct because they're not showing me anyway. I don't think we've seen the pain lands because they're on the fetch lands, so choke is better against that. Spire Bluff Canal is still operational through choke, but let's do that. Play 2 chokes, and what do we want to cut on the draw? Probably cut like a tracker. That's tough. This is a tough call. I'm going to cut a Plague Engineer. Obviously, he's really good at beating the Empty the Warrens tokens. But we kind of have to worry about Aria of Flame, arguably more than anything. And of course, we have to... They're clearly on Lightning Bolt post side. It's a very tempo negative 1-for-1 if we lose the Plague Man to a Bolt before he kills anything. I mean, it's pretty cool for the opponent that they stabilized at 1 life and went off, but that just shows exactly what I was saying about Aria of Flame to be true. And Veil of Summer, just ridiculous. This hand does not disrupt, but it races. If we draw a piece of disruption, it becomes really good. I don't think we're supposed to keep it, though. Like, Tarmogoyfs don't outrace Storm if neither player is disrupting. And we have such a good 60 post side. I'm going to mull. Mull to a 1-lander. Gotta go to 5. This deck cannot keep 1-landers almost ever. They keep 7. Okay, we have a 5 with choke. I keep. And I'm going to bottom my 2 4-drops. And I'm just going to go Thoughtseize turn 2, choke turn 3, try to cheese them out. Can you imagine if that was our 7? I mean, it wouldn't even be that good of a 7 because we're playing the 4-drop clunkers, I guess. But it'd be pretty sweet. I'd honestly take it because those things will get there if the opponent's choked out for a while. For sure. We've drawn Kaya's Guile. That could be good. It's fine as an edict on the play. Factor Fiction, Lightning Bolt, Pyretic Ritual, Serum Visions. And they do have a Spire Bluff Canal, but the rest of their lands are chokeable. I think we're just taking Serum Visions here. Might have been, I don't know. Maybe I didn't think about that one long enough. Might have been interesting to take the ritual, right? All right, Choke, you gotta just win us the game. You gotta just win us this game, Choke. Because the rest of our deck's not doing much right now for us. Choke resolves. Step 1. Gotta find a clock, though. Really gotta find a clock. We found Plague Engineer. I think I'm supposed to play it out. I know it trades with Bolt, and that's terrible, but, like, that, they can't just Bolt freely and untap. So, like, forcing them to do that is fine, and he's a clock. He's the only clock we have unless we want to trade Shambling Vent for Bolt, which I think is worse. They bolt him. Cool. I mean, honestly... Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Spire Bluff Canal while I was talking there. I still think it's correct, though. I still think it's correct because, again, better than trading Shambling Vent, and we just have to clock. Like, our deck is just not doing anything right now. Again, this is... Oh, God. Now we flood. Now we flood. We can't keep 7s and 6s with any lands, but now we flood. I'm sorry, our 7 did have lands, but it was just no interaction. Alright. Well, Kaya's Guile is awkward to hold up here, so I'm just going to attack with the Vent, and if we draw another land next turn, then we're holding up the fully escalated Guile, which is something. Alright, opponent can ritual into Fact or Fiction now. If that's the play, then at least we're kind of choking 2 of their 4 lands. Okay, so I arrange into piles and they choose. Oh my goodness, Aria Flame. Sleight of Hand. Okay, Sleight of Hand and Monomorphose. Monomorphose is pretty good. Sleight of Hand's kind of bad with Choke. Kind of, but again, they have 1 blue land that operates well. Well, we'll split the lands. I guess we just put Aria on its own. It's a pretty good Fact or Fiction for them, no matter what we do. Yeah, I guess we just gotta put Aria on its own. They take it. And there it is. Okay, we have Liliana of the Veil. They have 4 unknowns in hand. Huh. I think we might be better off holding up Kaya's Guile this turn, but it is a real judgment call. Worried about them having a Mana Bear. They found another Spire Bluff Canal. That's a disaster. Alright, I guess we're gonna exile their graveyard and make a spirit, which is just so bad. Well, we're doing what we can, my friends. We are doing what we can. Another Liliana. I mean, how bad can our draws get? I'm not trying to complain unduly. I'm really not. But this is about as clunky and just underwhelming and bad as you could really imagine without totally non-functioning after a Mull to 5. Like, we just haven't had efficient turns. And this is a remand. Of course, of course. Of course they're remand. So we just get time-walked bad by that remand. Our choke is not going to solo them. They've found 2 of their 4 Spirebluff Canals, which is... If they were only operating off of 1, I still might have, more optimism here. But now we're just in a position, again, where we need to draw out to Aria Flame. We don't have that many in the deck, because the only card we play that answers it is otherwise unplayable in the matchup. Alright, what do we want to draw? I don't know. A Windswept Heath? Probably not. Probably not at all a Windswept Heath, right? Keeping the second Lily could be good for... I don't know. I don't know if it's good. It could be good for a couple things, actually. Let's do it. Like, the 6th land, I can't see it mattering much. Like, it definitely does some things. It makes us more likely to double spell or to animate Shambling Vent in single spell. But, like, if we draw a brick next turn, getting 2 cards out of their hand with our 2 Lilianas is pretty good. Okay, they're pointing an Aria at Liliana. That's another reason it's nice to have kept this one. Grape shotting our spirit. Okay. Aria tagging us for 5. Questing Beast might be good. A Blooming Marsh. A Blooming Marsh! That ain't it. This is so painful. This is so painful to play. They have a Veil of Summer in hand. Obviously. Just Veil of Summer everywhere we go this league. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. And they went upstairs with that Aria trigger, which means we're probably dead right now. There's an opt. We're dead to another spell. You think they have one in the Storm deck? I think they might. Okay. That sucks. I mean, they literally... Veil of Summer and Monomorphose cantripped into their 1 of Remand. I would wager, almost certainly, probably a 1 of Remand to stay alive in Game 2. We had him. We had him with the Rhino trigger. But we didn't have him because Veil of Summer just isn't, like, 1 mana cryptic command that... Even when we're not, like, walking into it or playing into it, it can still just be the difference maker. It's still just a 1 mana cantrip as a floor against the decks where it comes in. You hate to see it. Yeah, guys, I mean, I think we're I think we're doing about as well as we can under the circumstances. We're against 3 Veil of Summer decks. 2 of them are unfavorable matchups. The third, Storm, is not unfavorable, but our specific configuration is much worse than the average BGX would be against it. Siege Rhino's not good against Storm as a threat compared to Stoneforge Mystic or just lower curve stuff in general. And all the paths and trophies are not... That's not their time to shine. It's not their platform to shine. I will keep this hand. But Path is much worse than Push would be right here. And both would probably be worse than a discard spell would be. But despite its shortcomings, this is like the best opening hand we've had so far. So I'll keep it. And hope turn 2 Goyf into turn 3 Lily is good enough. Okay, we now have another Goyf, but we're against a Misty Rainforest deck. It's probably Bant Uro or something like that. I hope not, but it probably is, right? In which case, these Goyfs are extremely medium. And Liliana is pretty good, but not necessarily the solution to outgrinding them most of the time. Yeah, it's a Bant Snow deck. Stoneforge Mystic. Hey, okay. At least they play a good Edict target. They go get Batterskull. Alright. I guess we're concealing white. We look like a green-black rock deck at the moment. Does opponent have a Force of Negation? Is that what this hesitation is? That could be good for us if so. It's just a 2-for-1 in our favor. I think I'd rather resolve Lily. But what do we do in here? They scoop. Okay. Hey, the way some of our bad breaks have been going, I'm just going to accept it, and I'm going to just bring in Mike Chokes and call it good. We didn't see too much of their deck, though. You gotta assume Uro, Quattle, Snapcaster, and some kind of numbers like that. Choke, Spellbomb. I might just play like 2 Ashiok until we see more. Plague Engineer and Brutality are both viable here as well. What are our worst cards against what we assume is Bant, Uro, Stoneforge? Well, I think on the draw I'm going to cut a land. Cut a Blooming Marsh, to be exact. Once again, Kaya's Guile's just pretty clunky. We probably should move away from some number of them. The rest of our deck's pretty good. If we're doing this, these 3 can go. And we could also actually, we could also just move away from Tarmogoyfs instead of moving away from other things. Maybe we should do that. I'll try that without having, like, I think that's a fine stab in the dark. Without having more information than we do about their deck. So I guess we'll bring this Siege Rhino back. Gotta keep our threat count high, right? I'll bring a Kaya's Guile back too, and maybe just play 1 Brutality. Like, the Plague Engineers are good against snakes. The Brutalities are generically okay. I think, like, playing 1 is pretty good here. Killing a Stoneforge, checking the hand, but Brutality does have its shortcomings, so I'm going to configure like this. I think this is pretty reasonable, and we shall see. We shall see. Maybe opponent's having a bad day at the office. They just scoop to our Liliana on curve. Doesn't seem like nothing into Goyf into Liliana is okay, but doesn't seem unbeatable for these modern-day Bant decks, does it? Hand's okay. I'll keep it. Again, you see how awkward Path is compared to alternatives early on. We got a big glaring gap between turn 1 and turn 4. But the hand functions, which is more than we can say for some of our other ones. We can stop drawing lands now, though. That'd be just fine with me. Okay, they have Veil of Summer. 4th straight Veil of Summer opponent. Stoneforge Mystic, Icefang Quattle, Path to Exile. Really hard hand to beat. Astrolabe enables everything. I'm the one who wants to scoop now. I just simply don't want to play against this right now with our deck, but they have 3 2-for-1s in hand, plus a Path to answer our only threat. Doesn't seem like we have like a real good option here. But opponent says, I should have held the Veil, I'm dumb. Yeah, there's an incentive to hold the Veil, but I think there's an incentive to do exactly as they did. I think that's fine. Honestly think that's fine. And a big part of me just wants to take the Quattle to give them a tension here between deploying Stoneforge and playing and using Veil of Summer. But the problem is we just simply can't beat a Stoneforge Mystic right now unless we path it, which is a disaster. So I'm going to take the Stoneforge Mystic. Which doesn't play mind games as well as doing other things would have. I'll give our opponent some commiseration in the chat. Oh my god. We just draw more lands, more lands, more lands. Did I mention more lands? Well, we're very far behind right now. It might not seem it might not look it, not that much has happened yet, but our position is very poor as far as I can tell. We're kind of at the mercy of the opponent. If the opponent has a normal curve out, I think we get buried. If they could always brick, though. We found Kaya's Guile. That card does a thing. And plays around Veil of Summer nicely. They've got another Quattle. Alright, mega punished for not bringing in Plague Man. No, okay, they are fielding us. I think I'm gonna Guile in response. Whatever. Seems fine to me. I just want to keep attacking their graveyard in case of Uro. I always tap the wrong color with these Temple Gardens, don't I? I'm a little torn, but yeah. It's not very impressive now, is it? But that's our play. Still got 2 Skoos in the deck, so I'll get as much green as I can, I guess. All literal only lands, guys. Literal only lands. I apologize for our bad variance. Yeah. I'm going to say go. I can't bring myself to run the QB out and do a known path. We're just going to... I mean, we're not holding up our own path this way, but there's some benefits to that. Like, their Veil can't stop it anyway, so it's not like we need to pick a perfect spot for it. And maybe they're more likely to run out something into a path if they don't think we have an answer to it. Another land. Another accursed land. We're going to get fielded out of this game. That's going to be the ironic thing. They can field us off a color even though we're flooded. Yikes. I think we have to run out this fetch land and go get our Godless Shrine before it's too late. Before we just naturally draw it, right? Okay, Quattle, sure. They found something proactive to do. It is a Jace the Mind Sculptor that is a disaster. We are going to lose to him. Almost certainly. I guess our hope is to draw a trophy and play the QB, so they can only stop one of them from taking care of the Jace. That might be about the only card that does it that I can think of. Silent Clearing. Okay. Thoughtseize. Very awkwardly timed. So do we just Thoughtseize into the Veil of Summer? And then try to play the QB next turn? I guess we should wait on it if that's our line. But, I mean, we're just losing to the Jace. So yeah, I guess we do that. Float White. Getting fielded out of the game as predicted. Flooding and getting mana screwed at the same time. You'll love to see it. Not sure if I'm supposed to path this Quattle. I probably just will. It's going to mess up the Jace Brainstorm if nothing else. Maybe, just maybe, draw out some action, but no, I didn't think so. Okay, so our only hope... Nah, we don't have any hope. They have too much mana open. We don't have any hope, do we? Nah, we don't. Another Path to Exile. I'm just saying go. I'm just saying go, letting the Jace go uncontested. I'm going to give myself one more draw step. Or give the opponent one more chance to tap low enough where we can force a Thoughtseize and a Questing Beast through, where they can only answer one of them. Okay, they're tapping for Big Teferi, I guess. So it doesn't really matter that they're going to be tapped low. Because number one, he gets to untap them, and number two, even if we do force our action through, that's just another relatively unbeatable thing. Okay, it's Batterskull, so not exactly the same thing, is it? Mystic Sanctuary for Archmage's Charm. Cool. So they draw the Charm. Hope you guys are having fun anyway, even though we're getting kind of completely stomped. Like, our results are bad right now, and we're not going to win this one, are we? But at least some of the games have been close. Okay. Yeah, literal Arkham's Astrolabe just fixing their mana, letting them hold up Path for eternity. You know what, though? I think our best bet might be that they've, like... Why don't we assume that maybe... they have shuffled away the Path by now. They probably shouldn't have, but maybe they did. So we'll Thoughtseize into the Veil. And then... Oh, they let it resolve? or they just let it resolve. I mean, they've got 2 cryptic commands, that's why. We're not beating... I'm just done. We can't beat that hand. Look at it. Look at it. Like, yes, we can pick a line here, but look at that. Grotesque hand. We're just gonna have to try to choke him out on the play. That's literally our deck's main hope here. Should have probably played 4 chokes in this sideboard, but hopefully 2 will suffice. So we saw Uro and Snap. I think I'm going to bring in my 3rd Ashiok. I think I like not playing the Goyfs, and I think I want Plague Engineers. I mean, we could use both Brutality and Plague Man. But I doubt we're going to have room for all of it. Path to Exile is so depressingly bad at many stages of the early game. I might trim like 1 or 2, reasoning that we have enough ways to disrupt the graveyard that we don't need them all to beat Uro. We'll leave a couple in. I think that's reasonable. I think I'm still supposed to play all the trophies against those Planeswalkers, though. Cut a Rhino. Submit deck. Alright. Opponent says, Veil of Summer is like any counterspell. If you know I have it, you should probably play into it at some point. Well, geez, thanks for the advice. You know, if only I had played into the Veil of Summer, our hand would have beat yours, clearly. I am well aware of that, my friend. Thank you. My hand was not really allowing us for many options there. We've got triple discard. Despite this hand's issues, I will keep. We don't see the 3rd land that we need. Opponent mulligans. So we're going to rip their hand to shreds. The big problem is we don't have necessarily a way to capitalize on it with like an early threat or planeswalker or choke. Yet, anyway. I stress yet. They have Rest in Peace in their Uro Snapcaster deck. Did they just pull a transformational sideboard plan off against us? We might end up taking it at some point. But for now, I'm just taking the Quattle. Surely Rest in Peace is better against them than it is for them in this matchup. Like, they don't know that we're not on Lingering Souls, though. And we drew a choke! We drew a choke! Epic. Alright, I guess we Inquisition now while it's still alive. Okay, I'm just gonna... I'm thinking about taking the rip. We take Path. Rip has just got to be something we don't care that much about. Like, it totally shuts off our Nile Spellbomb. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, most of the time, I really think it should be better against them. Again, unless they swapped out some stuff, which maybe they did. It's not a card I expected to see, I'll tell you that much. They're going to jam it, right? They brought it in. They didn't bring it in not to jam it. All right, untapped land. Let's choke them out. Untapped land, please. One-time deck. Of course not. Of course not. And of course we draw a 2/2 Scoos. Oh, man. They play Mystic Sanctuary, so they're going to have the 4th land for Cryptic, so now we kind of have to Thoughtseize this turn even if we draw the Choke mana, which we do. Unbelievable. It's alright, we can still kind of just thought seize, then pick our spot for choke. I got Cryptic and Astrolabe. Astrolabe's actually pretty annoying, but still clearly taking the Cryptic there. And next turn looks like a really good spot for choke. That's the concession. Okay. Opponent's pretty quick on the draw with those concessions, and I don't know what Rest in Peace was all about, but guys, I'm not going to complain. Look, hey, we're 2-2 with the Siege Rhinos. Yeah, they got... Okay, Astrolabe uncastable, I understand. I understand the concession, but, like, we're just beating you with a Grizzly Bear down, so, like, they could have kept playing it out. I understand not wanting to, though, you know? Anyway... You know what, guys? We are doing okay. We are really making a respectable run at it, considering some of the... Like, we haven't really had a great curve out yet. Had a lot of mulligans, a lot of flood, some screw, a bunch of bad matchups, and a deck that is doing a lot of experimental things that we are playing. Nevertheless, we're 2-2. I will take it. If you had laid all those criteria out for me at the beginning of this league... and said you can be 2-2 going into round 5, I would have bitten your hand off, right? I would have snapped that right off. So anyway, hope you guys are having fun, especially you, Space Marine. We have had a few cool Rhino moments at least. Almost had a second win secured with it against Storm. That would have made this league really cool. If we were 3-1 and we had won 2 games off of the Rhino trigger, I'd be pumped. This hand is mega slow, but that's kind of what we signed up for with the deck. It functions. I'm going to keep it. We'll see what the opponent has. If they're a big mana deck, maybe Trophy is good early interaction. So far, though, we haven't been punished that much for not having Fatal Push where these Kaya's Guiles are, but now we are because we're against a tribal deck, Elemental, Cavern Naming Elemental. Okay, I really bet we're going to wish this was a push right now. It's hard to say exactly what they're going to have. Ether Vial, okay. What do we want to draw here? Inquisition, maybe? Ha-ha! Called the shot. Inquisition, you elemental players. See what you got. See what you got. They have a 2-lander. And they have 2 Flamekin Harbinger, which tutors an elemental to the top of the deck. They have Arisen Reef, which is card advantage, 1/1 for 3. And they have Smoke Braider, which is a 2-mana mana dork. Okay. Interesting. I kind of want to take the Smoke Braider and hope they don't draw the 3rd land for the Arisen Reef right away. I think I'm going to do that, but it's not clear. You could definitely just take the Risen Reef instead because it is the kind of top-end payoff card. But if they do get the Vial or the lands to 3 for Reef, at that point I'll feel fine trophying it, and hopefully they don't get too much value off of the first hit. I don't have much experience against this elemental deck. I don't know if it's going to be 5 color. Seems like it might be. There's lots of good playable elementals in every color. And opponent taking their sweet time on some of these early actions. We'll see if that persists. This is pretty spicy, though. This is a good play. They upkeep the Harbinger and off the Vial, and therefore get to control their draw step this turn. It's kind of cool. Nothing we could have done to prevent that, of course, because they had 2 in hand. If they'd only had 1, maybe we take that. I don't know. Voice of Resurgence. Okay, looks like 5-color elementals are at least 4-color. But if they're on Lightning Skelemental, that would be 5, and Voice is depressingly good against us. But this is where Path could come in handy. Pathing the Voice is better than destroying it. And I can't imagine, especially if they're 5-color, they play more than like 2 basic lands. So if we can draw a bunch of Paths and Trophies, they'll be awesome. Just really efficient removal without the downside after the first 1 or 2. Oh, you guys feel free to watch this one on 1.5 speed. The opponent's taken a little while to execute most plays here. No shade intended to the OPM, just looking out for my viewership. And hey, you know who's going to be pretty good here is Liliana, the Last Hope. I think we just, we definitely don't want a trophy on their turn, because it's going to give them a token off Voice. We also don't want to trophy the Voice and give them a basic land. So I think we are just going to we're just going to have to take a hit or two, hope they don't naturally draw the 3rd land, and then we just start 1-for-1ing them. Like, we play the Lily, we tick her up, kill something, then we just kill something every turn from there on out with Trophy and Guile and whatever else we can manage from there. Obviously, this draw of Marsh Flats for us last turn was pretty bad. Opponent with 1 unknown in hand. And Flamekin Harbinger is awkward if you're looking for the 3rd land drop. It is a May, so you don't have to, but it's still literally just a literal 1/1 in Tribe if you don't use its ETB. But that would still be fine with them, I'm sure, because they can just put the Vial to 3, right? Oh my goodness, opponent, please. Please go a little quicker. Oh, man. Again, not hating. No disrespect intended. It's just been another long league. It's just been another mega long league. But I'm here for you guys. I'm here because this is what the viewership has demanded. And this is what the Fates... They don't play Harbinger? Why? Why don't they play Harbinger? I don't understand. I don't understand, my friends. However, we've drawn yet another land, which just really sucks. Just gonna play the Liliana and kill the Harbinger. Maybe they have another 2-drop to Violin and they get to kill her on the crackback, but I think we're supposed to just take every clean kill that we can. Like, they can't be holding up a spell here, right? Like a non-creature spell? Okay, they just did nothing that turn. I guess they didn't want to waste the ETB. I guess they're just saving all of their value for this turn. I guess that makes sense, right? They Violin the Reef to begin their main phase, and then they probably, hopefully, double spell, or at the very least have the Harbinger to play. But this means our Liliana is going to continue operating to extreme effect here. And I think we're going to want to avoid giving them a land for as long as possible. So if, God forbid, we draw the millionth land of the game, we're probably just going to play a tapped or a fetch land in main phase, Guile to Edict and make a 1/1 creature, right? Okay, opponent taking action. Signs of Life. Okay, so they get to look, they're not revealing. It's just a look. And it goes to the hand, right? Yeah. But they drew Cavern for turn. And this is a Skelemental. God, come on. Oh my God. Could we possibly get punished anymore? So they're, yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. I can't even freaking think about it anymore, to be honest. We draw Thoughtseize. Sure. So we have to Thoughtseize, and now that we are not answering the Reef, we probably just have to trophy it. But let's Thoughtseize to be sure first. Vesper Lark. Power 1 or less from graveyard to the battlefield, so this can buy back the Reef that we're about to kill. So I guess we have to let them have the tutor. It's bad either way, but I'll take Vesper Lark away. And the voice is really awkward, because it means we have to main phase everything, but I'm still gonna. It would be nice in a different world to, mess up their tutor with the trophy, but we don't have that option. And they do have at least one basic land to get. They get Mountain. Yeah, I think Lightning Skelemental is the only card in their deck that could have allowed them to kill Liliana that turn. Hate to see it. And I guess those were their 2 draws, right? Or did they... We have time. We have time while the opponent does their stuff. Let's look back at the game log. Yeah, that's right. They tutored for voice. Okay, I couldn't quite remember exactly what had gone down. They had tutored for voice. They have a Cavern of Souls and, I guess, 1 unknown in hand. Maybe we'll win this one on the clock too, guys. What do you think? Okay, here comes an elemental creature spell. It's uncounterable. Darn. Our force of will is rotting in hand. OP. OP, what's going on? What's going on, OP? There it is. You know who's going to be... let's look at the sideboard while the opponent does things. Plague Engineer is obviously going to be amazing here. They're a tribal deck. They play a million X1s, including some of their real payoffs like Risen Reef and Lightning Skelemental are both X1. Brutality seems good. They go get another Risen Reef, unsurprisingly. If they have... yeah, okay. Anyway. I wonder about Ashiok. Probably not, just because they're so aggressive it's like impossible to protect Ashiok. They have a Phantasmal Image. Yikes. Okay. Well, I don't know what we want to draw now. Something like Siege Rhino seems okay. Questing Beast seems okay. We gotta draw action, though. We gotta draw action. And I'm getting really impatient here, sitting here. Guys, if you dip out of this video early, I'm going to be mad at you. You have to sit here, you have to be here with me for this. No, I'm just kidding. If you want to dip out of the video, I don't blame you. Or watch it on 2 times speed, especially because we can't draw a single piece of action. So what are we supposed to do? Maybe we are supposed to wait to try to use all 4 modes of Kaya's Guile, because all 4 modes are live. The problem is then we're shocking in Godless Shrine here, so I probably should have played Marsh Flats and gone and got basic planes if we were going to do it this way. Whatever. I'm shocking in, and we're just going to block with Shambling Vent this turn. So if we lose by 1 life, it's because of me. But you understand how I'm a little bit... It's a little difficult to maintain my focus. Maybe that's the opponent's secret strategy. They will, their opponent's minds will wander. Okay, Risen Reef. Finding them a sun-baked canyon, which finds them, I don't know, maybe nothing. A Shambling Vent holding off the attacks. Lovely. Tarmogoyf. It's pretty good. So if the opponent doesn't do anything too crazy this turn, next turn we will probably just main phase Akaya's Guile. All 4 modes. We go shields down with Shambling Vent, but we make up for that by gaining the 4 life in 1 shot and by making the Spirit. This is a pretty nice engine the opponent has, if only we were disrupting it in any way. So they find a Harbinger, of course they get to tutor something to the top, and then the Risen Reef ability triggered ability resolves. So it's very nice. It's very, very nice. I don't exactly know if they have any cards that can cleanly beat a Tarmogoyf, though. I don't know if they spice in any non-elemental creatures. I'm thinking of the humans playing Deputy of Detention, for example. Thunderkin Awakener. Aha. So they get to go buy back a Lightning Skelemental. I was going to say the other thing they can do is just go wide enough and tall enough to beat us. And, I mean... that's what's happening. Yep, Skelemental has won them this game. It's going to be very good right here, right now. And it was very good at taking care of our Liliana when almost nothing else could have, given they were a little bit slow out of the gate. Okay. I mean, I should concede, but the clock is so in our favor that I guess I'm supposed to play it out at this point. I feel like just by playing this league, I've earned the 3-2. Like, just by enduring what's gone on so far, I feel entitled to the 3-2. So I'm gonna take my potential out of the clock, working to our advantage. But some of these, they tutor a Skelemental to the top. So they're going to have 2 Skelementals this turn. Seems pretty good. And we can compete over one of the Skelementals with our Kaya's Guile. Primal Beyond. Let's see how they attack before we know about the Guile. They do just turn them all sideways. Alright. So I guess it's better to make a 1/1 spirit than to have them sack and we're forced to exile the graveyard. No life gain for us. Yeah, I mean, if we had drawn things in a different order, we still could have beat this progression. But unfortunately, we drew the Tarmogoyf like way too late. We had taken a ton of damage already, and then we had to go shields down on the full Guile. Look at all this value. Look at all this value. It's pretty impressive. Okay. I don't think we can beat that board. Well, that was stupid. Because it took the opponent a very long time. It took them over half of their total game clock to turn 7 us. Without us doing a ton. We were just casting like one spell at most per turn. In any case, probably just bringing in Brutalities and Plaguemen. Most of our deck seems good here. Yeah, we're not going to have too many slots. I guess Tireless Tracker is probably going to go. Again, Kaya's Guile, just very clunky. Cutting at least 1, probably 2, even though it's removal. Didn't mean to cut a Last Hope. Last Hope should stay. Trackers are what I mean to cut. So if we configure like this, we're at 62. What are the worst cards that remain? I'm probably supposed to cut 2, maybe even 3 Thoughtseizes. But we only have 2 in the deck. Keep all 4 Inquisitions. Might not. We could maybe even trim 1 on the play. What would we bring back on the play? Our 60 looks really good here. So if we cut 1 Inquisition, plan to bring that back on the draw, would we rather have a Tracker or a second Guile? I think the second Guile. And just come with as much removal as possible here. Okay, I think we're very favored. We will see how it goes, but I think we're very favored. I just said it 3 times. That means we're going to have good luck. If you didn't know, that's how that works. And could we get some? Like, I think it's been in a little bit short supply this league. All right, would you like to play first? Yes. I think this hand's keepable. It does not disrupt well enough for my liking against their really good progressions, but it's like a really solid value, decent hand on the play. Opponent took a mull. Opponent took a mull. Opponent took a mull. I think we're going to get Temple Garden off of the Heath and go Garden into Marsh into basic Swamp, perhaps. Opponent has a Vial start again. It's a little rough. Little rough with our Liliana. We really wish they didn't. Plague Engineer, hello. Hello, Plague Man. Nice to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Alright, so we want them to, like, add the counter in their upkeep, and then vial out that 1/1 tutor, and tutor up the 2-mana 1/1 mana dork, and then play it. All on their turn. They didn't do it. Okay. Okay. So because they didn't have to tutor, there's no reason they probably will play out anything with the Vial here into the Plague Man. We can still hope. But obviously we were looking for the blowout there. They could still definitely cast this Monodork here. I just cast another Vial. Yikes. Yikes. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad for us, but we just have 2 Plague Men. Seems good. I think we're just supposed to play him out, and especially now that they have 2, so even if they have a Dismember, I mean, that would still suck, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to play Liliana yet because our hand's too good to take up. Elemental. Opponent wasted more precious seconds, guys. You love to see that. So they got something that can survive. It's an Unsettled Mariner. Well, a second copy of Plague Man takes care of that. And that also will unlock our Inquisition, so I think that's probably the play. Right, that counts as everything, and it's already shrunk, yep. Double Plague Man on the play. Pretty hard to beat for this deck. Vesperlark, Thunderkin Awakener, Flamekin Harbinger, Lightning Skelemental. I literally, like, none of it. None of it does anything, so I guess I'm going to take the thing with 2 toughness in case they rip removal for one of the Plague Men. They then tutor with the Harbinger. What will they tutor? It's not like it's goblins, right? Where they... Oh, it is. They do have a removal. They tutor for Spite Bellows. Okay, fair enough. Well, that's why we took the X2, right? There might be an argument for, you know, pumping the brakes a little bit and not killing them as quickly so we can get the game 3-1 on the clock. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I mean, tempting though that is, I guess we're probably just supposed to play QB here, right? Well, at least this is a nice dominating display here at the end of the league when we've had some struggles. Had some struggles, had some tribulations thus far. That's the scoop. That is the scoop. That's what put it over the edge, right? All right. Probably not going to win on the clock here, but you never know. You never know. I think we can just win the actual game, though. Again, I think we're very favored here post-side. Do we want to do anything differently on the draw? I just kind of want this 4th Inquisition potentially back in. Probably cut a Kaya's Guile for it. Or a Liliana of the Veil. Which is better, the third Lily or the second Guile? I think the second Guile might be better than the third Lily on the draw. Especially with our deck with such a heavy top end. I think it's close, but I'm going to go with that. All right. Here we are playing for the 3-2, my friends, playing for the Cash League, and we've got a clunky hand, but the opponent's mulling, and we do have Inquisition into Skoos, into Plague Man, then Bombs, if we draw the lands. So it is a keep. We just gotta hit those lands, man. Gotta hit those lands. If we do, we'll be sitting pretty. Opponent leading on Cavern for the third time straight. Will they lead on Ether Vial for the third time straight? They will not. It's a Harbinger. So no Vial. Risen Reef, and we've got the third land coming down the pipeline. Nice. So they're going to have a Risen Reef in their hand starting next turn. Voice of Resurgence seems like the card we should take here. Thunderkin Awakener is good too. Whenever it attacks, turn the battlefield tapped and attacking. So they're going to do that next turn, eh? And then they sacrifice it and they get the token. I guess we're supposed to take the Awakener. They have a Lightning Bolt, which is currently uncastable. We've got, obviously, a lot of really good draws here, too. Opponent is just casting the Voice, as expected. A very good card against us, for sure. The Bolt's kind of scary, though, because if they ever find a land they can cast it, yeah, that does answer Plague Man, right? But we draw another Plague Man. Beautiful. Beautiful draw. It's Skoos time, and frankly, if they can point a bolt at the Skoos, they probably should, and they probably will. So the draw of a land would be very good here for them in a couple different ways. I guess that's what we want them to fade. We want to fade. We want them to just play out some kind of X1 that doesn't affect the board right now. I will not block your Voice. I will go to 15. And we have the fourth land all rolled up. Cool. Plague Man naming Elemental. I'm gonna race. Maybe we're better staying back. I'm not sure. You could really go either way. Shouldn't be what changes the outcome of the game, if anything does. Oh, they top deck Ether Vial. Doesn't seem very good to me for them. Okay, so now what do we want to do? We play the second Plague Man and have a Skooz activation. I think that's probably better than the other stuff, but it's all good. You can't make an incorrect play here. Now we'll start turning them sideways. That way we make sure the board is clear by the time they make that token. Okay, well, we're ending this one on a feel-good note, my friends. Hey, there's the third land for them, but it doesn't cast Lightning Bolt. So I believe their entire deck is just dying on impact here to state-based effects. The elementals are DOA. The Plague Man cometh. The Plague Man cometh. Risen Reef. Yep. They get the value, they get the trigger. And they get some value. Yeah, it's a land. Still doesn't cast Lightning Bolt, though. Oh, boy. Alright, do we rather play Questing Beast or Siege Rhino? We gotta play Siege Rhino, right? That's the whole purpose of this league, is to jam the Rhino. Always yield to the trigger. I'll go ahead and shout out on a Risen Reef. Some nice seafood here for the Skoozy. Plague Engineer still just as good as ever in these types of matchups. And the opponent just still playing it out. As likely as anything to lose to the clock at this point. They got another Harbinger to Violin, that's what this must be. Yep, so the Plague Men claim another victim. OP's at 4. They get to tutor something, though. But what is it? A Spite Bellows could kill a Plague Man. I don't think there are any elementals that are naturally big enough to survive. They go get Muldrifter. Okay, you can draw 2 off that. What a world Modern is sometimes, right, guys? Muldrifter. Getting it done. Getting it done. Well, we cannot complain about our curve outs here in R5G2 and R5G3. They have just been awesome. We've had, like, one piece of disruption early, which is all we need when we're curving into Skooz and a double Plague Man both games, with a top end to follow. All right. We finally got there, guys. Well, you know what? I've already kind of offered most of the, like, commentary I would on a wrap-up throughout the league. And it's been gone on quite long enough. We just can't play a short league these days. And hey, that's fine. That's what we're all here for, is to play and watch Magic the Gathering. And we came away with a cashed league with Abzan Space Rhinos. Again, given how often we had to mulligan, given the overall matchups, Elementals is an easy matchup for this configuration, but everything else, I think 3 tough matchups, and then Storm, which is a fine one, but one where we're not really configured to beat it, compared to most other just the natural game that a more stock BGX list would have against it. So considering all that, considering some of the bad variants, I'm thrilled with the 3-2. We got to do Siege Rhino things, including winning game 1 on the back of the Rhino trigger. And otherwise, I don't know what else to really say. So my concerns at the start of the league were that Kaya's Guile is too clunky to play as a 3 of. I do stand by that. We were in a lot of matchups where the card had its chance to really make its mark. And it did, I guess, game 1 against Storm, if I'm remembering correctly. That was a really nice Kaya's Guile, where we edicted the bear with Monomorphos on the stack and wiped out their graveyard. That was great. Otherwise, though, you understand that, like, Fatal Push sees so much play for a reason. You just can't replace the 1 mana interaction with 3 mana interaction, especially when 1 mana's targeted, 3 mana's not, and not get punished for it. Like, sooner or later, you will get run over by turn 1 Arbor Elf, by turn 1 Giver of Runes in a Devoted Company or a Devoted Combo Shell, by turn 1 Champion of the Parish or Noble Hierarch, things like this, turn 1 Soulscar Mage or Monastery Swiftspear or Goblin Guide. All these things do still see a ton of play in Modern, so even though Kaya's Guile's a nice card, I really strongly advocate this as a 1-of if you want it, not a main deck 3-of, but I don't hate that we tried it out. You know, it was definitely cool, and to be fair, it didn't really punish us that hard this league either. A lot of the times, Fatal Push would not have been what we were after anyway, right? So, hey, we cast a choker too. We had some kind of bizarre matchups. You got to give the Storm player credit for putting together some really good turns. Even though we lost the Storm matchup, I think that was one of the more entertaining ones and one of the closer ones and one of the better ones, frankly. We had some opponents doing some kind of bizarre things in this league, which I think was at least part of why we went 3-2, but look, I'm not complaining. I'm not going to look that gift horse in the mouth, because we were already going uphill facing Veil of Summer, 4 of the 5 matches having generically bad matchups, and having a pretty big hefty dose of poor variance. So my results have cooled off a little bit lately, guys. I was Mr. 4-1 for like a while, for a long while. And lately I've been more like Mr. 3-2. But we've been playing a lot of variants, a lot of them off meta. We have had a downtick in variance, and 3-2 is still fine, right? 3-2 is still fine. So have we proven today that we can overturn the existing order with Abzan? I don't really think so. But to be fair, Siege Rhino was okay. He is underwhelming in some of the more really value-intensive matchups, which is kind of an awkward place to be for your value-intensive 4-drop, right? But in these aggro matchups, he's kind of cool as a top end. This didn't make me want to replace SFM with Rhino, personally, but it is cool that we gave him a good old try. And Path to Exile and Trophy. Honestly, I think there is some merit to just overloading on these effects some of the time, or in a certain expected meta. Instead of trying to strike the right balance, you just say we are taking the bad with the good. And eventually, if we draw a critical mass of them, the bad will no longer exist. I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of merit to it. So if you wanted to try that out for yourself, I would say try 4-path, 4 trophy, and 2 push in a stock SFM shell for Abzan. If you wanted to try Siege Rhino, I would say play a normal removal configuration and see how that treats you. I kind of liked our sideboard today. There might have been certain matchups where we missed certain things, but honestly, our sideboard felt pretty good. So this is kind of a good baseline from which to make tweaks, and granted, it's nothing revolutionary right now. But even though we were in a rare matchup or two where we could have used a value bomb and we didn't really play any, honestly, that didn't really seem to matter, right? So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. I hope you enjoyed us giving Siege Rhino some airtime on this channel. And Space Marine, my friend, hey, we cashed your league. We cashed your league, bro. I hope you enjoyed this as well. Rhino had some moments in the sun. Kaya's Guile, your Spice, had a real good moment in the sun against Storm, and like I said at the beginning, I really do like your innovation here of playing 2 Last Hope in the context of the rest of the deck. I think that is the right call. Last Hope was decent here. I think she could have been better. We didn't see like the perfect matchups for her, and the times we did resolve her, we were kind of in awkward spots some of the time. She is just a little bit outclassed compared to how she was like a year and a half ago in Modern, so there's that too. She's just not the bomb she used to be, but she is still good, she is still very viable, and she is nice in this particular shell as well. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a lot of the same stuff, pulling the weight as usual. Discard being a big difference maker here. Whether we had discard early or not, kind of dictated how our games went to a large degree. So thank you again to the Space Marine, who, it's good to know the Space Marines are protecting the channel, protecting the Discord and the Patreon. You love to see it. Thanks for your support, my friend. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks, as always, to all Patreon supporters, including Bill Campbell, our newest confidant. There you go, guys. It was another massively long league for you. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned, because next up we are going back to good, old-fashioned BG the Rock Golgari Midrange in Modern. I hope everybody is safe, I hope you are happy, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you for the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon.